On behalf of the California Department of Education, I want to thank you for being with us today as we kick off the first Move the Needle convening of the 25-26 school year. We have missed you since our last convening in June and hope you all had a great summer and are off to a wonderful year. So getting us started, our focus today is learning how three districts, we have El Centro Elementary School District, Cutler Rossi Unified School District, and Los Angeles School District, and learning how they have used their systems, practices, professional learning, coaching, data, and funding to improve student achievement in both ELA and math since the 21-22 school year. Now, I am honored to introduce our State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Mr. Tony Thurmond. Thanks to Superintendent Thurmond's visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to improving student outcomes, as well as expanding lifelong opportunities, we're proud to celebrate the one-year anniversary of the Move the Needle initiative. This milestone reflects the progress that we have made together, collectively, and the momentum that will carry forward into the 25-26 school year. Superintendent, thank you for joining us today and for all your continued dedication to California students.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. I'm looking forward to an exciting conversation. Thanks to everyone who's been a part of bringing us together. Here we are a year later with the cohort. Let me just start by congratulating all of you for your hard work to support our students as they build their proficiency in literacy and in math. I'm going to talk a little bit about literacy today. I just want to thank all of you who are working hard to make sure that our students learn to read by third grade and help our students learn to have a love for reading at any level. We know that this is hard work, and we're seeing, I would say, steady, modest and steady improvement as a state, and we have for the last several years. Many districts have found that their test scores in reading have reached, pre-pandemic levels, and some have been able to excel even beyond. You'll hear that today from some of the presenters. In some states, it's taken 10 years to do this kind of work, and we're preparing to drill down on long-term investments to help make that same type of progress happen here in the state of California. You'll hear it, that there needs to be a commitment to a program that is evidence-based with fidelity. Everyone gets trained. We stick with those programs. We do things that focus on the science of reading in the sense that we figure out how kids learn. We make sure that there's lots of phonemic awareness. We do things to support our English learners. We do all of the things that we know are in our frameworks and that we can support students wherever they are. We're going to push you and stretch with you and ask that we strive to grow over the next several years. You'll hear our team talking about the idea of helping to grow student proficiency and literacy by 5 percentage points. And we want to hear from you today. Can you make that? And what will it take to make that? And some of you might say, hey, it's too much too soon. Tell us what feels right. Tell us what you need to get there. And know that we are preparing to launch a major investment that builds on all of the investments that we have. Transitional kindergarten, and think about it. Ours is the only state that's guaranteeing free preschool for every 4-year-old in our state. And a big shout out also to our child care providers. Early education is so important, and we've always known this. We're going to continue to align the work that we're doing in early education and TK with other investments that we know will make a difference. More expanded learning dollars are on the way as we speak. More professional development dollars are on the way as we speak. And so we want to hear from you what your experience has been and what you need to help us get there. Help us get to the 5% growth and beyond. So sit back, relax, prepare to share and to hear those who want to tell their experiences. And then let us know what you need as we continue on this journey for reading by third grade and to move the needle on test proficiency for students in both literacy and in math. grateful for you and grateful for the work that lies ahead.
My name is William McGee. I am the Deputy Superintendent of the Building Educational Success Together branch at the California Department of Education. You're going to hear from LA Unified School District, Dr. Carla V. Estrada, who is the Deputy Superintendent of Public Instruction. You'll also hear from El Centro Elementary School District, Joy Ceasar, who is the Director of Learning, Instruction, and Accountability, along with Marco Arellano, Director of Instructional Technology and Innovation. And our last LEA that will be joining us is Cutler-Orosi Unified School District, Yolanda Valdez, Superintendent, and Siobhan Swanson, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. As we know and as has been mentioned, the impact of the pandemic was significant across the globe, our nation, and our state. It impacted everything. It impacted you, me, our children, and it including education and student achievement. Despite the challenges presented, the state of California, under the leadership of our state superintendent, Tony Thurmond, mobilized. And amongst many things, it includes our collective work from new policies and grants to instructional guidance and assessments. As a result, we have begun to see an upward incline in statewide achievement since the 2021-2022 school year and are confident that our results of the 24-25 school year will continue to demonstrate that growth. Also, as a result, we, the Move the Needle cohort, have set a big and ambitious goal to accelerate that growth in ELA and Math and Science by 5% this year. How we do that, as Dr. Garcia mentioned, is collectively and by sharing best practices so that we are building capacity and cohesive practices across this great state. And you all also put some of that information in the chat. And as Liz mentioned, we'll be capturing that and sharing that out and looking at it. To support, this is why we've invited LA Unified School District, El Centro Elementary School District, and Cutler-Orosi Unified School District today to share their practices and have a down-home family discussion with us. These districts, varying across multiple factors, have done just that. They have accelerated student achievement, and they have moved the needle in both ELA and Math. As we know and as has been mentioned, the impact of the pandemic was significant across the globe, our nation, and our state. It impacted everything. It impacted you, me, our children, and it including education and student achievement. Despite the challenges presented, the state of California, under the leadership of our state superintendent, Tony Thurmond, mobilized. And amongst many things, it includes our collective work from new policies and grants to instructional guidance and assessments. As a result, we have begun to see an upward incline in statewide achievement since the 2021-2022 school year and are confident that our results of the 24-25 school year will continue to demonstrate that growth. Also, as a result, we, the Move the Needle cohort, have set a big and ambitious goal to accelerate that growth in ELA and Math and Science by 5% this year. How we do that, as Dr. Garcia mentioned, is collectively and by sharing best practices so that we are building capacity and cohesive practices across this great state. And you all also put some of that information in the chat. And as Liz mentioned, we'll be capturing that and sharing that out and looking at it. To support, this is why we've invited LA Unified School District, El Centro Elementary School District, and Cutler-Orosi Unified School District today to share their practices and have a down-home family discussion with us. These districts, varying across multiple factors, have done just that. They have accelerated student achievement, and they have moved the needle in both ELA and Math. I want to start off with our first question, and we're going to ask Joy. We'll ask you to start us off. Will you talk a little bit about systems and structures? So what specific systems or structural changes did your school district implement that were most instrumental in driving sustained improvement in ELA and Math outcomes?
Good morning. So the systems in our school district, one of our strongest systems is our district screening and benchmark assessments. They are organized by the district office, and there are specific days of the week that are on our calendar that we calendar those across all school districts. All schools. And we do both math and language arts. And then that data is analyzed by the teachers and the principals the following Thursday during our staff meetings, which we call site data dives. And so the principal and their staff, their teachers, they thoroughly analyze that data to determine which students need additional tiered instruction, either during the school day or we're provided after school with our ELOT funding. We also have a district-wide platform, MTSS platform, that then the teachers create those interventions within the system using that data that they analyze together. And they choose students based on those interventions and their success or their continued need of whether they need to move forward with student study teams involving the parents and other specialists in our district. We also have a focus, a stronger focus even this school year on tier 1 instruction, making sure that that first good instruction is happening in the classroom daily. Our principals are in the classroom regularly, along with our cabinet and superintendent, regularly visiting schools and sites to make sure that our students are receiving the absolute best instruction on a daily basis. We also have a lot of professional development that is from our district, and our own teachers provide it in our annual PD day, PD conference. We have many sessions led by the very talented teachers in our district on different topics. We also provide professional development at the beginning of every school year, very customized and specific to the needs of that year, that department, that grade, as well as we provide very specific grade professional development during the school year in the area of math instruction and specifically working on pedagogy for math, and then for reading foundations in the science of reading to ensure that our teachers are equipped with the most up-to-date strategies and knowledge about how to teach our children to read. We also make sure that there is a focus on supporting our English learners, as we have almost 50% of our students are English learners in our district, and we have make sure that that is a running theme throughout all of our professional development. We also are a district-wide AVID school and have been for many years. We invest in sending our teachers to the Summer Institute. We also are a district-wide PBIS district. So positive behavior interventions is a focus at all of our schools. We invest in our teachers to help us support and create our curriculum guides every summer to make sure they're aligned to the needs of our students and our schools. And then a big system that we have in our district is our pupil services and attendance office, with including a truancy prevention specialist. This has become imperative after the COVID pandemic and some of our schools reaching over 50% of chronically absent students. And so that part of our Ed Services department has become very instrumental. We have to get the kids to school and in the seats in order to make sure they learn. And research has shown that even the students who are not there, the students who are there are infected also by so many students being absent. So we really have a very strong focus on making sure that we are calling and finding the students who aren't at school and getting them to school.
That's great. That's
yes.
great. Yeah, that sounds like a great system that you all have there, Joy. And it sounds like you stated that you guys really get into the data dives. And then I also believe I heard you mention your after school program, and
yes.
you all making a connection there. And so that's great that you're extending the school day through that after school program and giving children an opportunity. And then if you remember from the Mentimeter as well, right, people were saying like, what does it take? And I believe I heard you say tier 1 instruction as well as site visits. And you've also invested in your teachers to support with developing curriculum guides that really gives buy-in. So we appreciate that information. Marco, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to Joy's response before we pivot to Dr. Estrada.
I think just one more thing to point out is our TK program that's at every one of our schools. I think that does support when it comes to what Superintendent Thurmond was talking about, moving our kids into reading for third grade. And that really just supported, or at least our district has been very supportive of that. And it's great to have that consistency throughout our district. Joy and I have been working together for 9 years and hoping that we move that needle over to a positive direction. So.
Beautiful. No, that's perfect. And as you stated, that is one of our superintendent's goals and CD's goals is transitional kindergarten. I know that I credit myself having a strong reading foundation because I also participated in preschool and early learning. So that's great that you all have done that. We're going to pivot now to our next question. How does your district use data to identify instructional gaps? And then what professional learning, coaching, and instructional practices decisions have been made as a result to drive sustained improvement? How your district uses data to identify instructional gaps?
Absolutely. And I don't want to repeat what our partners have said because Dr. Estrada and Superintendent Valdez has shared similar approaches that we've had where our superintendent has met with our principals, going over the data as well as our associate superintendent and reviewing, what are we going to do with this data, right? Dr. Estrada pointed out that we have to be intentional with that data. And I think something that's, something that I should point out is like we started integrating a lot of things coming from the state. So one of the key things that we have for our teachers are the interim assessments that they're using, and we integrated them in our curriculum guides. I think that's something that's unique in our district because we have them both for ELA and math, and we use the IABs, the FIABs in the classrooms as formative assessments to guide that instruction. And not only that, but we also use them as an instructional tool. So it supports our students specifically on where they're at. And one of the things that we have brought in and so our district has supported has been bringing in the support from our ELA and math content specialist teachers. These are our TOSAs that work directly with us through our Ed Services department. And it's in addition to someone that's been in our district. This is his third year as an EL resource teacher. And these teachers, these resource teachers, these TOSAs have a lot of work in the classrooms, and they spend their time modeling lessons, supporting with the planning with our teachers, co-teaching. They do a lot of that work that we try to support as best as we can. And I know Dr. Estrada mentioned earlier about building capacity. And one of the things that we try to focus on is the professional development, not only for our teachers, but also for our principals. We want to make sure that we increase their capacity to be the instructional leaders of the school. And at the sites, at the PDs that we offer, especially in our PLTs or PLCs, they need to be able to understand what is happening in the classroom as well as with the data. And our Ed Services department works directly with our principals. We are actually assigned, there's 3 of us at Ed Services, 3 directors that are assigned to each of the schools. We each have 4 schools that we work with those principals, making sure that we are on top of the data, making sure that we're providing the best services that we can. And I think it's just there's other factors I think that came in, and I don't think I heard it, but like our ELA program has definitely supported our mission, and not just that, because they offer before school and after school as well as summer programs that allow that instruction to continue. It's not just what's happening in the classroom, but also after school and before school. And again, we also offer enrichment programs, which also supports the core subjects. So I think I'm going to leave it at that because I know we have one more question.
Okay, no. And you actually segued into that next question as well, because like I said, this is a question we get asked about a lot. And you mentioned the ELA before and after school programs and things of that nature, professional development for principals. And so how you all are integrating items from the state. So Superintendent Valdez, we'll pivot to you. As Marco mentioned, as I mentioned, Marco kind of took us in, but will you talk to us briefly? Tell us a little bit about the role that the funding played in enabling your district to scale and sustain the innovations that you mentioned that led to improved student outcomes in ELA and math. All right, Joy, Marco, will you finish us up with the funding? Who wants to jump in there?
Yes, and I want to echo what Dr. Estrada said about the enrichment. We too are in a low income community with limited opportunities for our students. And so ELOB and our Prop $28 have give them a reason, an extra reason to come to school. Because again, if we get them in school, then we can teach them how to read and do math, right? So we know that those opportunities for our students are valued by our community. Our district uses our LCAP for everything. It encompasses and guides everything we do in our district. It really is our guiding document. It contains our 4 district goals, and we meet regularly as a LCAP committee, as well as with our stakeholders to make sure that everything we're doing is moving the needle, if you will. We also have utilized the grant funding that has come out since COVID for things like adopting a new language arts curriculum and a ELD curriculum, which we just really couldn't wait any longer. We really needed to get up-to-date quality curriculum into the hands of our teachers so that our students are able to compete with other districts. And then we also are currently working on our math adoption as well with that different grant funding. And then when those new funding streams come into our district, we use it to enhance and improve and advance our current initiatives and don't try to jump on a new bandwagon and go in a different direction. We really feel that, keeping an eye on our goals and the consistency is what's going to get us there. And it takes time to learn new things and for everybody to be proficient. And so we use those new funding streams to advance our current initiatives. We also used, prior to ELOP, right, we had ELOG, if you remember, the grant. And so our district utilized that funding right after coming back, reopening from COVID, to have a district coordinated additional intensive reading foundations instruction specific for our students with the widest gaps due to COVID. And so we did that for 2 years. And it wasn't a site initiative, it was a district initiative that was very specific, data driven on exactly the students we needed to target. And so that funding, that ELOG funding was really useful at that time when we were really working on getting those gaps closed.
Got it. Yeah, no, thank you for that. No, all tangible strategies, all good ideas. And so what I was thinking is if districts have access to those funding streams, they can look at how they can realign and utilize those. Or if they don't, they have other streams. It's about alignment. So no, perfect. Thank you for that. So I appreciate you all jumping in and really allowing us to learn, and you were vulnerable, spoke about things that were going well, and then also where you guys had improvements to make. So thank you for that. And I'm hoping that the various school districts who are on this call were able to take some learning and really take what they can apply in their district.